The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. I have a very special guest for you today from CPI Coaching, Dan Rochon. He helps real estate agents find their way in sales to have no broke months. And I'll tell you right now, I know about 8,000 realtors that would love to have that I've talked to. So, Dan, how are you?
Good, Tim. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, I love having you here today. I'm anxious to hear kind of what you have to offer and what's going on. Well, why don't you go ahead, Dan, and start at the beginning? Tell me how you got started, and then we'll evolve into actually how it works. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, sure. So you mentioned that I'm a coach, Tim, and I am. Yet I really look at myself as an agent first, and as a coach to be able to teach other agents how they can have no broke months. And so in 2007 was when I got my real estate license.
Okay.
And
good time.
I don't know if you. Oh well, yeah. So I was going to say, you know, there was this thing once upon a time that used to exist called a newspaper.
Yeah.
And in that newspaper, I don't know, look it up, Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. The headlines were, financial crisis, foreclosures, debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when I got my license. So I struggled for about 6 months with zero sales and, like many agents. And my first closing was April 2008.
Okay.
And that was as really as having a conversation with a couple of people, one being my broker, Karen. Another was a mentor of mine, Mike McBride, who was a lender at the time. And they had coached me to be really specific to find my way to make sales. And so from April 2008, 6 months after I got my license, until April 2009, I had a lot of success. And in April 2009, I bought the brokerage that I worked for.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a Keller Williams Realty franchise. And I worked in the role as an operating partner for that franchise for 10 years. I sold it at the end of 2018, stayed with the company, joined another KW, because I wanted just to have some separation between myself and the organization I used to, own the franchise. And so I stayed with KW for 3 more years. I joined eXp Realty at the beginning of 2022, and I sell real estate. That's what I do. Now I also coach agents to be able to have no broke months, as I shared with you, through the CPI community. And CPI is consistent and predictable income. And then lastly, that I'd like to share with you is I've written a book. I'm an author. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff in the business that I'm really happy to have been able to do. But what I'm most proud of is that one of my coaches asked me this about maybe 2-3 years ago. He said, Dan, what are you most proud of your accomplishments in real estate sales? And it took me probably 2-3 weeks to really come up with an adequate answer to that. And what the answer is which I still resonate with very closely today, is that since 2008, as an agent, I've had no broke months with an average of 10 sales monthly. And that's what I'm most proud of. And I think that's my biggest achievement in real estate sales, because it takes a lot to do that, to have consistency month after month after month for, 15 years, and that was my biggest accomplishment yet.
Wow, that's fantastic. So let's hear, as you say, on your site, let's hear some of the goods.
Some of the goods. So let me share with you what I often ask is, okay, like, how do I have no broke months?
Right.
And so I come up with a strategy of, most people, they want to hear about the tactics. They want to hear about the magic shiny object in the room, like, where's that, that thing that's going to make me suddenly, give me the elixir.
Right.
And so instead, though I certainly believe that there are tactics that are going to resonate with you as an agent, where I think we should begin is really why do you sell real estate?
Okay.
And so understanding why do you sell real estate from like the lowest denominator. So I call that the little why. Because a lot of coaches still teach us, say, hey, if your why's big enough, you'll always find a how. I agree with that. However, sometimes the why is so aspirational that we come up with. It's so altruistic. It's like bringing clean water to, countries in need, which is really phenomenal to be able to want to do that. Yet, if you're not able to pay your car payment or your rent payment or your mortgage bills, we can't help the world. You gotta help yourself first. And so when I ask the question, why do you sell real estate? I coach others to really, drive down on that. Like for real, no BS. Why do you do this? Is it to make a mortgage payment? Is it that I never want to go and be an Uber driver? Right?
Yeah.
Is it, I don't want to go, like for me at one point in my career, it was, I don't want to go back and wait tables.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause that's what I did before I got my license. And so once you figure out why do you sell real estate, then I encourage for you to ask yourself the question, what's important to me about that? And so you come up with, I sell real estate. For me, it's to be able to afford to pay for my daughter's private school. Now, once upon a time, it was to be able to get out of this cramped, townhome that I lived in with my infant daughter. And, I rented out space to my tenants. And, like that's not the life I wanted to live. And so I needed to break out of that. And I did, fortunately. So why do you sell real estate? And then what's important to you about that? And then whatever you come up with, continue asking yourself the question, what's important to you about that? Until you get to this answer that sings to your heart. When you get to that answer, you're going to know, hey, boom, that's it right there. So now it's going to look something like this. So for me personally, it's I sell real estate so I can afford to pay for my daughter's private school, so that I can be a worthy father. And it's that simple.
Right.
Okay. And so I have that written on this little sticky note right here on my keyboard. And I'm able to focus on that daily. So that if I get distracted about like what I'm supposed to do and I do something outside my money making activities, then I could just look back at that sticky note I'm looking at right now and says, I sell real estate to be able to afford to send Maggie to private school so that I'm a worthy dad. And I'm looking at that. Now I can make a choice of how do I spend my time.
Right.
Okay. So there's no judgment on it. It's just saying I've got a compass now. Right. And I could choose to say, well, I could do my money making activities. I call that CPI time. There's 5 of them. Or I could do my leverage time. There's 5 of them. Or I could do something else that's not making me money or not building my business. And if I choose that third option, then I'm going to look back at that sticky note and really, really consider, is this the best thing for me?
Right. It's almost accountability in itself, right?
It's setting yourself up for success, right? And so then you look at, it's like, okay, what are the 5 things that, cause you to make money? And it's simple. It's to find business, lead generate, to convert the leads to meet with you, to attend the appointments that you converted so that they hire you, to negotiate, and to practice your scription role play. So now I've got a bucket of 5 activities that I say, this is how I make money. If it's anything outside of this, then it's not making me money. It's not, providing me to be able to achieve my why, my little why, which is to pay for my daughter's private school.
Yeah.
So that's working in the business. Then working on the business would be the leverage time, which would be to recruit talented people to be a part of my organization, select the very best people to be a part of my organization, train them so they can achieve their goals, lead them so that they know how to think so that they can achieve their goals, and motivate them so that they stay empowered and motivated to be able to be happy to come to work every day.
Yeah.
And those are the 5 activities for leverage time. And then we tie it all together. We put a big rope around it, which is manage your money. And those end up being the 11 steps of sales.
Nice. I that last thing you said, Dan, interestingly enough, and I find it so such a void with realtors is that happiness. You said
Yeah.
it right at the end. I mean, gosh, I don't care if it's the last 2.5 years that have been like a whirlwind, whirling dervish, whether it's pricing, whether it's the number of bids, whether it's COVID, really hard to when I talk to a lot of folks, I'm not sure they're happy, and I think that's a clear indicator of their success. If I just ask them at the top of the call, I say, "Well, are you happy?" And they go, "Well, if I could close more deals, I'd be happy." And I was like, "Well, I kind of always feel like you got to have some happiness driving." I think that's, I get that from what you're saying. You're gonna build some happiness and some esteem to move forward. Because if not, this business will chew you up.
I've seen people, I've seen it chew up thousands of agents through my
Right.
career. I mean, well, let me tell you something about that though.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
the last 2.5 years, I was thinking about this morning. I was at the gym. I was thinking about this. I'm like, we're entering into this new market right now.
Mhm.
What will I do differently? And my answer was nothing.
Nothing.
And I'm like, okay, well, the last 2.5 years, the market, like, I'm just sort of getting used to the new market of the
Mhm.
last 2.5
The
years.
last one.
And now we're
Right.
shifting into the new market, right? And it's just like nothing changes.
Right.
Nothing changes. Just
Right.
do your job every day, 5 days a week, which number one of all those 11 steps was to lead generate.
Right.
And if you do that 1 to 3 hours every single day of your career, I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care what the outside is, what's happening outside. Now it's just like you just do that 1 to 3 hours a day and you'll succeed. And I don't
Right.
care what the market is. I mean, you may have to adjust, you may have to sort of waver or sort of juke and jive, right? And you may have to do a different tactic. But the reality of it is there's a tactic that will allow for you to succeed in any market, in any circumstance. You just have to do the work. That's all. It's simple.
Yeah, there's really no substitution for doing the work. And you said it. You said it at the top of the call. Everybody's looking for the magic elixir. Here, just drink this, and then tomorrow you'll get 5 calls a day. People wanting to list homes. It's never existed, and it never will. Um,
Yeah.
I've been in marketing since 1992. To give away probably before that, but in a smaller capacity. But as far as real estate goes and real estate investment trust, things like that, since 92, and nothing's changed. I still have to find buyers. I still have to do all that legwork. It's really things like what you're putting together. Your organization, your whys, that one impetus that keeps you going. I love that about your daughter. I have 4 sons. I kind of did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mine's just making them proud. They're all 20 to 29 and heck of a lot smarter than I am. And it's like I'm chasing them to still prove myself after 30 years of having kids. So love it, love it. So let me ask you this: how do how are you finding new clientele now? You said
Yeah.
nothing's changed. What's your elixir?
Yeah. Well, the tactic may change based off of,
Yeah,
the opportunity.
sure.
I'll answer that specifically on how I get business. But before I do so, I want to talk to the audience with a little asterisk, a little disclaimer. Here's my asterisk. Don't do what I did. Why would I say don't do what I do? Because it works for me.
Yeah,
So instead, figure out what your superpower is, figure out what your strengths are. Okay. And then go do that. So, with that being said, the way that I get business today is I get about a third of my business from my sphere of influence. And I've got a very systematic way to follow up with to provide value with them, to follow up with them, to provide value to them, to contribute to them. I do 4 client appreciation events a year. My biggest one that we host is every year I give out Christmas trees.
Mm.
and I'll give out about 100 Christmas trees every single year in exchange for a toy for a tot. I've done that for 13 years, and we've raised thousands of toys for tots. And that's a altruistic, giving back to the
Sure,
community. But
sure.
guess what? You may think it's expensive to buy 100 trees every year, and it is. But my return on that includes business far, far exceeds this
Oh
small
yeah,
investment.
for sure.
Okay, so that's a third of my business. The other third of my business, or another third of my business, is from internet lead generating providers. So this would be considered like, so you've got the relational business, and then you got the transactional business. And the transactional business is these are people never met. I never, met them. They don't know me. I don't know them. And typically we get those from, vendors such as UpNest, Ideal Agent, Referral Exchange, Dave Ramsey endorsed local providers, Ojo. There's a bunch of companies out there, and we get about a third of our business from those providers. And then the last third I get from events from either teaching. So I teach 2 weekends a month. I teach a home buyers class. We
Nice.
average in that home buyers class between, I don't know, 6 and 20 attendees. And then I'll average 4 closings a month from that class alone. So that's 48 a year.
Nice.
And then in addition, I'll prospect for sale by owners. We'll call absentee owners. So this is sort of a mix between, if you look at relational and then transactional, which were the first 2/3. This is another third, which is probably more transactional, but gets to the relationship quicker. So if I'm teaching, for example, in the morning, we just met each other, but by the end of the day, we're best friends. And,
Right.
and now you're already turning into a relationship.
Right. Fast friends.
That's right. That's right.
So let me ask you, this is it's kind of a curveball, but not too much of a curveball. I'm sure you can answer this, but if I had a magic wand and I could fix any of your problems right now that you may have, what would the one problem be?
I'd say people, I candidly,
Oh,
Tim,
I could fix people. I could just fix everyone. Yeah, there you go.
No. It's I'd say right now is a rare time in my business that I don't have a lot of challenges.
Nice.
And make sure you understand, rare.
Yeah.
Historically, through time, the more consistent challenge that I've had is finding the right people to be able to serve on the opportunity that I'm able to generate.
Okay.
That's my historic one problem. Okay. Though I've got a really good, I've got some great freaking awesome people with me today. I'm so grateful to have them in my world.
Right.
But that would be the one thing, because early on in my business, in my career, I read this book. You probably heard of it, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by
Sure.
Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Dave Jenks. And in there, there's this triangle, and at the bottom of the triangle it says leads, and then on the left side of it says listings, and on the right side of it says leverage. And so, what I missed on that was the leverage piece through the early parts of my career, because I knew, okay, I can go out there and my job is to go find listings, and then when I find listings, the buyers will come, and I'll do that every single day of the week. Right. And I've done that since day one successfully. But what I missed was spending 100% of my time finding listings. What I missed was finding the right people to be in business with.
Right.
And so today it's like 50% of my time I spend finding listings, 50% of my time I spend finding talented people to be in business with.
Gotcha. Wow. That's smart. And without all 3 sides being fundamentally strong, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, you're gonna sort of you're gonna limp, right? You're gonna it's like that wheel that is missing a spoke.
Right. So let me ask you this. Let's go ahead and put on our prognostication hats real quick.
Sure.
And you're a planner. You're always thinking you're a forward thinker, I believe. From what I know. And what is the next year, 3 years, 5 years? What does that look like to you? And pick one of those time frames, and what does it look like?
So our future has already happened.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is there's 4 threats to our industry, and those threats, 2 of the 4 threats have already played themselves out, and will continue to do so. And two of the threats will become more present in the near future. Those four threats are technology, big data, commoditization, and artificial intelligence. And of those four, commoditization and technology are already in play. Commoditization, the definition of commoditization is in the absence of a perceived value, the consumer will go to the lowest price goods or services. That's simple as that. So as agents, we have to have more relationships. We have to provide more value with those relationships, because in the future, the transactional opportunity will be more commoditized, because the consumer will say, who's the cheapest person, because I have zero value on realtor A versus realtor B.
Right.
I don't know the difference between the two unless if you have the relationship.
Right.
The other two pieces that are starting to be in play but have not completely worked themselves out is the artificial intelligence and the big data. So it's not hard for us to understand, because in other industries it's already played out or playing out, right? Like literally, you're going to watch this video or you're going to listen to this audio if it's on audio, and 2 hours from now, you're going to be on your phone and you're going to get an advertisement to something that you just thought about. How does that happen? It happens because artificial intelligence sorts through big data,
right,
and then understands the likely decisions that you're going to make as a consumer. If it's like buying glasses, I'm holding up a pair of reading glasses. Right. Perhaps if the reading glass company knows that if you buy the larger font, this or this or this or this, and they put all those metrics together, they know the likelihood is you have the need. Now, how does that relate to real estate? Well, this hasn't played out yet, but it will, where artificial intelligence and big data combined will already know when a consumer is going to be ready to buy a home before the consumer does.
Right.
Or sell a home before the consumer does. And not only that, they're going to know that you want an east-facing brick facade front with a gas stove with an open concept. They're going to know what you want as a consumer. Right. And we can all believe that that's happening because it's already happened in other industries.
Sure.
It just hasn't played out in our industry yet, but it will. And as that happens, we have to understand and say, okay, well, that's the circumstance. What do we do about it? My recommendation is to find as many people today to help, provide them value, continue the relationship, because now here's the answer to your question, because I haven't even actually gotten to that. Because in the near future, what's going to happen is we're going to go through a dip in the industry. We're going to lose about 30% of the agent population. We're going to hit the bottom of the market, and when we climb back up, you're going to have two big players in the industry. I'll name them, Redfin and Zillow, and then you're going to have agent teams. The agent teams will always be needed because of the local. It's sort of like if I got in trouble with the law, I'm not going to go to LegalZoom to be able to get my defense.
Right.
I want Tim, who has an expert in this, to help me. And so there will always be a need for us as agents, but I believe that it's going to be so competitive because of the commoditization. It's going to be hard to succeed unless if you have a team of people succeeding together.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I also believe inside of that, the scope will be a little bit different. Because so much through the big data will be like an instant solve, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they're kind of gonna be like, well, this is what I want, Tim. Can you make it happen? Can your team make this happen? Because the AI most likely isn't going to make that part happen. That's what we're going to be there for. And then I'm going to say, I have to be able to say yes, or they'll find someone next door, literally next door, that will. So I love what you had to say about that. And not only do I love, because I agree, but in the way that you have it lined out, and I hope you offer that wisdom in your course and for others on your site.
That and so much more.
Yeah, so much more. I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, wow, lazy agent. Why are my eyes drawn to that? No, I'm kidding.
The Lazy Agents Boot Camp is what he's talking about.
Oh, fine. Okay.
I accommodate lazy people too. Come on.
Right, there you go. Dan, how, whether they're an agent out there or they're, they need to list something, how would somebody get in touch with you?
All right, two things. If you're an agent and you're looking to have no broke months and you're looking to be able to seek how to do business your way, not my way, your way, I invite for you to visit www.nobrokemonths.com. That's nobrokemonths.com. If you're a consumer, you're interested to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate, and you're in the DC area, the DMV area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, then I invite for you to visit www.greetingsvirginia.com. That's greetingsvirginia.com. Virginia is all spelled out and greetings is plural.
Fantastic. So this is the part of the show, Dan, that, I always say, hey, this is your 2 minutes to talk about what you like. It could be your favorite pet kennel. It could be your spouse, your daughter, or it could be business. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. Let me leave out because I like a whole lot of things. Like, I love life. That's what I like. But
Nice.
what I want to share with the viewer, with the listeners, I want to share with you something that I'm going to encourage for you to consider. You are made up of billions of cells, trillions actually. I think it's 37.2 trillion cells. You are a manifestation of those cells into this human condition. And you're a spiritual being. And that spiritual being that you have, you can achieve anything. How do I know you can achieve anything? Because people have done it before you. Right. Because the people with the same composure, composition, have achieved things before you. And so what you have the opportunity to do is to believe in yourself. Look at what others have done before you and do the same activity that makes sense for you to do as well, but mostly believe in yourself because you can do this.
Nice. Good sage advice there. I like that a lot. Believe it in yourself. Dan, thanks so much for being on the show. I'd love to get back together next 3, 6, 9 months, kind of see where things are and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.